Hey, what's going on, guys? So, we finally got a new Football Manager update, and this one is all about international management, World Cup content, and a bunch of fixes that should make the game feel a lot smoother overall. The biggest thing here is that the update brings in the next step for the FIFA World Cup 2026 stuff, and it is not just a tiny content drop either. You are getting the full set of qualified teams, the licensed kits, and even the option to start a save with the confirmed World Cup squads, which is the kind of thing that makes a huge difference if you actually want to jump straight into managing at the international level, without spending ages setting everything up first. What stands out to me right away is how this update is clearly trying to make the whole World Cup side of the game feel more complete. All 48 qualified teams are now playable, and all 48 also have licensed kits. That matters more than people might think, because when you are doing international management, presentation really does add to the atmosphere. It is one thing to have the teams in the database, but having the real kits in there makes the tournament feel way more alive and believable when you are actually on the touchline, making decisions week by week. On top of that, the new option to begin a save with the final squads means you can get into the tournament setup much faster, instead of having to manually build toward that stage yourself. And the timing of that matters too, because the squads are based on a specific snapshot rather than constantly shifting with every late change in real life. So if someone loads this up expecting absolute real-world accuracy after that point, that is not what this update is promising. It is based on the confirmed squads available when the data was finalized, and then anything that changed after that, like injuries, suspensions, or late squad changes, is not reflected. That is actually pretty important context, especially for people who care about realism and want to know exactly where the game has drawn the line. Now, beyond the World Cup stuff, there's a pretty solid chunk of technical fixes here. And this is where the update probably matters for a lot of players in a very practical way. There was a crash fix when trying to assign squad numbers to certain players, which sounds like the sort of annoying little issue that can break the flow right when you're trying to get a squad ready. There was also a crash tied to clicking the WT icon on a player profile when that player does not have a club, which is one of those odd edge case problems that only shows up when the game gets into unusual database situations. Then there is another fix for a rare crash when changing a contract expiry date on the player database screen, which again points to the developers cleaning up some very specific but potentially frustrating problems. The online save fixes are probably going to matter a lot for long-term careers. The update mentions multiple crashes in online saves that are far into the future, so this sounds aimed at people who keep saves going for seasons and seasons with friends or across a longer community setup. That kind of save is exactly where bugs become extra annoying, because you do not just lose a moment, you risk losing a whole shared career if the save gets unstable. Alongside that, they also fixed a soft lock issue that could happen in dual management saves when using the spacebar to continue in certain situations. That sounds niche, but anyone who has dealt with a save that suddenly gets stuck knows how irritating that can be. There is also a fix for Hotseat mode, where the portal interface could incorrectly appear during matches after halftime. That is the sort of bug that does not sound massive until you're actually in a match, and the interface starts doing something it should absolutely not be doing. Small presentation glitches like that can make a mode feel rough, even when the underlying gameplay is fine. So cleaning it up is a good sign that they are still paying attention to the less visible parts of the experience too. One other thing worth mentioning is that this update is not limited to just the main PC version. An equivalent update is also out for Football Manager console, touch, and mobile, while Nintendo Switch users are getting it later. So this is clearly being pushed across the wider FM ecosystem rather than being treated like a PC-only patch. That makes sense for a World Cup update, because if the point is to make the international side of the game feel cohesive, then it needs to land broadly across the different versions people are actually playing. So yeah, this feels like one of those updates that it is doing two jobs at once. On the surface, it gives you more World Cup content, more authenticity, and a better way to jump into international saves. Underneath that, it quietly knocks out a bunch of crash issues and weird edge case bugs that could have ruined a save at the worst possible moment. That combination is usually the best kind of patch, because it gives players something exciting to notice right away while also fixing the stuff that only becomes obvious when it goes wrong. If you are into international management in Football Manager, this is definitely a meaningful one.